Hello and welcome to our last Facebook live stream. Roster reveal. It is for me, Michael. It is for me. I will be joined here by Michael Whelan, who you should know.
Hello.
And this is our Skaven roster reveal. Are you surprised?
Get in.
Right?
Get in. It's Skaven time. Do you know how long I've been waiting to talk about Skaven?
How long?
I don't know either, but it's a long time.
I only did yesterday, mate, so, you know.
Did you only just find out about it?
It was a full surprise. It wasn't.
Not a lot of people know about Skaven,
I know.
so this is going to be a big surprise for everyone.
And that's why you are here. So,
that's why I'm here.
You know, we've all got our preferences here at CA. I think we all found home with a certain race within Total War Warhammer. And Total War Warhammer 2. And yours, it's clear to say it is the Skaven.
Absolutely. The Skaven are the coolest faction ever.
Steady on!
Ever, Joey.
All right.
All right, they're cooler than Wood Elves, let's be honest. Trees are cool, but, I mean, look at that. Look at that thing.
Careful now, because we might not be friends after this. So, you know, tell us a little bit about the Skaven, for those that don't really know Warhammer as well as us.
So, if you've never heard of the Skaven, they have this, like, crazy mishmash of different sort of, like, influences from all over the place. So, for example, they have a little bit of Roman Empire feel to them, because they've got, like, this Senate Council. They're split up into these like powerful families or clans, and then they all just sort of don't get along, and there's a lot of political intrigue and backstabbing. But essentially, they are this underground race of rat men, not beastmen, rat men. And they are just mental. They're all addled on this crazy thing called warpstone, which powers a lot of their machinery and like delivers disease across all over the place.
Grim.
Basically, it comes from Morisleb, which is like a moon.
Morsleb.
I can't pronounce that. It's a bit too German for my pronunciations, I think.
I can help you with that.
You do that bit. I'll do the Skaven bit.
It's Morsleb.
So Warpstone just corrupts everything about them, and you can see it all over the units. So we've got a Warp Lightning Cannon over here, which is charged by Warpstone. You've also got the Plague Claw Catapult. That's the first tongue twister of the day. And that seems to like shoot like puke and vomit at people, powered by the Warpstone to swing it across. So that's very important.
It's really inventive.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as Skaven as I know them, kind of as a tabletop foe, because I've never played with them, their strength lies in their numbers, and mostly for the combat resolution, because you can have ranks of, what, 10, 50, or something ridiculous, and chewing through those ranks is really a huge problem tabletop-wise. So they have huge numbers and very inventive weaponry.
Yeah, so one thing that you want to do with the Skaven is you've got your like fodder units, like the slaves and the clan rats. You can just get loads of them for very cheap, shove them in the middle, and then get all your siege weaponry and massive monsters to just crash into their flanks, and that's how you do the damage.
Nice.
So, we've got some cool models in front of us. These were painted by Andy Hall, who is the Skaven man.
Yeah, he's the lore master.
Unfortunately, he's not here.
No.
But he knows more about Skaven than anyone, but he did used to work for Games Workshop, so that's pretty unfair.
It is kind of cheating in that respect.
So, first of all, we've got our pretty standard storm vermin here. So these guys are set up with halberds. So these are like the top tier units, like the sort of general's bodyguards kind of guys. And they're pretty strong, but they also have this sort of like caste system in the Skaven, because they're horrible and evil. But basically, if you're birthed with a certain fur colour, you might get turned into a certain thing. So, for example, if you've got grey hair from birth, you might become a grey seer.
Gotcha.
So the dark, sort of blackish hair get turned into storm vermin. So one thing that some clan rats will do is they'll dye their fur so that they can be a storm vermin.
I know the feeling.
It's cute, isn't it? They're like, oh, I want to be a storm vermin, so I'm going to dye my hair.
That is really adorable.
It's like, I don't want to just be a clan rat. I've got aspirations above that.
Yep.
So other infantry units include the plague monks. Obviously, Skrulk is going to be a big use of those because he is a plague priest.
Yeah, he's gross.
He's disgusting. Yeah. Should we talk about the legendary lords?
I think we should a little bit. I've got some notes here. I've got some notes, and as we're talking about Skrulk, go for it.
So Skrulk is the right claw, not right hand, right claw of the Clan Pestilence warlord. So he's like a pretty top-notch dude. He's a plague priest. Which means that he has the lore of plague in his book.
Gross.
So he's going to be like summoning giant plagues on the battlefield, and he's going to be like imbuing poisonous damage and stuff like that, which is all very fun. So essentially the story behind Pestilence is, under Cathay, which is like eastern sort of like, it's basically like a fictional China, under Cathay you have this massive tunnel that was built by previous Skaven. So the Pestilent clan, before they were Pestilence, I think, moved into this tunnel and found themselves in Lustria, in the New World. And they thought, hey, this is a cool place. We can, you know...
It's moist, it's hot.
Spread the Horned Rat's blessings here and destroy everything and fill it with corruption. But they weren't doing well, Joey. No. They weren't doing well. They were having a bad time because essentially what happened is they were getting beaten left, right and centre by lizardmen. And
they're pretty tough.
Lizardmen are pretty tough. They've got some big grisly monsters who can punch hard. So
and that have much more general armour than our furry friend here.
You know, Skaven aren't known for their armour, they're known for their numbers, you know, so they were struggling. They were struggling. Maybe they didn't have enough men with them, who knows? You'll have to read some more lore, because I don't have that answer. But the interesting thing is, when they were found in this new world, there were all these weird new diseases, like yellow pox, I think it's called, and loads of crazy stuff like that. And everyone was getting really sick. So
Nurgle loves that.
Yeah, so Nurglich, who I think is the first Arch Plague Lord, or whatever they're called, was like, do you know what? Why don't we use these diseases to our benefit? Because the Horned Rat loves disease. He loves things getting torn apart by horrible corruption.
He does love that.
So they just made it all about that. And Lord Skrulk is kind of like... It's kind of like the main guy for Plague. If you want a Plague, he's the guy to go to.
Yeah.
Because he can just corrupt anything. And even, they say in the lore books, wherever he walks, things just wilt around him. The grass just dies.
Like the air is almost congealed by his presence. And I think the areas of his skin that aren't covered by cloth are just covered by, just like pus.
Buboes. And just horrible, big, pustulent, Nice.
He's a bit plaguey, so...
He's pretty plaguey. But on the other side of that, obviously he's our caster lord. We like to have a caster lord and a melee lord in Total War. But your melee lord is the right claw of the Clan Moor's warlord, and that is Queek Headtaker.
Yeah.
How much do you know about Queek Headtaker?
A little bit. So what I know about summarising very much here. Skrulk, he's a bit gross. Queek, he's a bit dumb.
He is a bit dumb. But not too dumb.
No, I mean,
he's got some tactical nuance, but not quite to the same degree as other
generals. What he has is how to put this. He's very brave.
He's very brave, very strong.
Which is not a Skaven-y kind of trait, really. They're usually a bit more cunning, a bit more, in their numbers. But he is quite brave.
Yeah, the backstory behind Queek was that he was sort of always bred to be the ultimate warrior. So
wait, didn't he or his brothers?
Maybe.
I think he... Hang on. Let me consult the notes.
That could just be a rumour. That could be a rumour.
Biggest of his litter...
Oh.
He's not happy with this.
Yeah.
Biggest of his litter, he ate his brothers before shedding his fur or opening his eyes.
Ouch.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like Dwight from The Office.
Yes!
So, basically, he's been bred from day one to be a warrior. Like, the main guy of Clan Moors would send out assassins to try and kill him, just to test him. So that's how much of a big guy in combat he is. He's a duelist lord, so he's going to go after the other lords and take them on.
Yeah.
Which is not something you're going to see from a lot of Skaven units, which is very handy.
Yeah. He's a bit emotionally unstable. He's a bit of a powder keg.
Yeah, he doesn't like to be blamed for things. So a lot of the in-game sort of stories are him just being like, "Well, this isn't my fault. This is obviously your fault. I'm executing you for your insolence."
Yeah.
Which is always fun.
I relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's just mental, which is great. As are all the Skaven. They have this kind of World War I technology feel to them, where everyone was just making these wacky inventions, and they were just like, let's just try that, see if it works.
Yeah.
Some of it did. Like, for example, flamethrowers. That's a thing. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Do you have a favourite one of these models?
Do I have a favourite one of these models? I really like the Screaming Bell. So the Screaming Bell is one of the mounts that you can have for your Grey Seers. Basically, the origin of the Skaven, as far as like anyone is aware, comes from this this story where this mysterious stranger turned up to this idyllic sort of town where the humans and the dwarves were living in peace and there was loads of trade and everything's going well. And they were trying to make this giant effigy to the gods, this huge tower, to be like, you know, thanks for all that you've done for us gods. Here's a big thing. Basically, people were like living, being born and dying, trying to get this tower done.
Wow.
It was taking ages. So this mysterious stranger turns up and he's like, I'll do it for you in like one night because I'm super magic.
Okay.
As long as you let me put an offering to my favourite god at the top. So everyone goes in their huts, you know. Yeah, it's a bit mysterious, you know. Everyone goes in their huts and they're like waiting for everything to happen. Then they come out in the morning and, ooh, the tower's done.
Right.
And you look right on top of the tower and there's this giant, horrible bell. And it starts tolling. And with every toll of the bell, more and more stuff goes wrong.
Oh.
Like, people start disappearing, and there's, like, horrible diseases turning up. And on the 13th toll of the bell, 13 is a very big number for the Skaven.
Oh, I know.
The 13th toll of the bell, pretty much everyone's gone.
Wow.
And the last contingent of people who were there went down into the Dwarven holds to look for their help, the humans, and all they found were bones, basically. And as they delved deeper in, they just saw this like torrent of glistening eyes around them before they were feasted upon by the Skaven.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so there's a little fun story.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's haunting, and now I won't be able to sleep later. But
Good.
hang on. It is time for Alistair. It's time for you to leave. It's time for us to roster reveal. Thanks you for joining us.
You're very welcome. Always got time to talk about Skaven.
Excellent.
See you later, guys.
Have a good one.
And cheers.
Back again.
Hello.
Hello, Alistair.
For the last time this season.
It is, yeah. It's my final
Nice for having me
Alistair.
again.
Anytime. It is an absolute joy.
Hello, people at home. Is that the camera?
This one, this is for the miniatures, but this one, direct to this one, is where our folks are at.
Can't do that, can I?
So, I mean, as we have announced some of the, there's lots of coverage that dropped yesterday. We'll
Hot
be
news.
at Gamescom as well, where you can sit in this awesome Doom wheel, which we'll have available. That is excellent. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end. But we have already revealed our Legendary Lords. So, do you have anything further to add? Because we do have...
Well, I'm just happy we can finally talk about it.
Perfect.
I've known since Wednesday.
Right?
Yeah.
We didn't get the
I
memo.
had a feeling though. Yeah, I can't. We hinted at it a bit.
In the pit of your stomach, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a sixth sense or so. I'd just say
In the hell pit
not,
of your
not
stomach.
The Shining or so. I did have a feeling we're gonna do Skaven.
No.
Just this little thing going on in your head.
We just weren't sent the memo. But we absolutely know that we have Queek Head Taker, right?
Yeah, I think he's been confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah, we think. And also Lord Skrulk. So as we mentioned, casters, we'll go into magic laws at another time, but those are our two legendary lords. So I'm going to go into basically the hero characters, and it seems that we have 4 of these.
Hero characters. Sorry.
correct?
Ooh, I did the layout of this. I just highlighted the legendary lords and the non-legendary ones in different colours.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we've got those 2 legendary lords with no mounts. We should probably
mounts.
say they're too cool for mounts.
They
don't
are.
need them. Lord Skrulk is a bit more defensive until you get his items, and Queek is he's very offensive. He's a frontline guy. As mentioned, he's got the 3 Bs. He's brave, he's brutal, and dyslexic. That's him.
Amazing.
Amazing. We've got then the non-legendary ones, and that starts off with the Gracier, also mentioned previously. Also mentioned he can be on a Screaming Bell.
Yes.
Gracier without a Screaming Bell is a normal caster lord. Put him on a chariot-like Screaming Bell, makes him faster, far more durable. And then the Screaming Bell itself also has some nice abilities. There's a good one, so it invigorates Skaven around it. They just love hearing their toll.
They love it.
It reminds them of home.
To me, I hope they feel it's like a dance party, and it really gets
just
them
seeing it makes you just feel a bit
amped.
warm inside. And then it has a kind of a bound spell, we call them, a spell bound to the unit.
Yep.
Which can backfire, but if it doesn't, it deals some nice damage. So the Skaven aren't too reliable, I would say. They've got this. They tend to have the best intentions, and then something might happen, and their own units die.
Always a little bit risky, I find.
It happens as a Skaven.
Even in the tabletop, using some of the weaponry here that you can see, like the Doom Wheel, you're rolling a dice, literally, and seeing what the results are going to be, because it can go either way.
Yeah, so there were some discussions on the forums whether we should emphasize more friendly fire or more things that could go wrong.
Okay.
I find that if you play with these units, things just tend to go wrong enough. So
Nice.
we didn't have to do anything beyond the normal things that go wrong, like a Screaming Bell is probably going to drive over a couple of your own people every now and then. It's just going to happen. And if you spam the bounce spell, it might explode. It's just going to happen every now and then.
The Skaven are higher numbers, so a couple of rats here and there, it's fine. Wait. He says it isn't fine.
Ah.
It's fine. Moving on!
Did he move?
Maybe. Don't trust that one.
Moving on. Yeah, the Warlord is your melee sword and shield type Lord. He's got
foot on Bonebreaker as well.
Oh yeah, he's got a Bonebreaker. He can jump on. The Bonebreaker is a rat ogre who's been even further modified to be an even bigger badass rat ogre. So we're gonna get to the rat ogres later, but you're not gonna miss like a cavalry mount option for your Lord if you can put him on a Bonebreaker. Obviously, he's going to deal some serious damage. It's a joy to behold. Less obviously in your face damage dealing is the assassin. Skaven assassin has to be in there. You can't really do Skaven without assassins. They like their stealthy units. They like to backstab. It's the like #1 hobby of the Skavens is backstabbing.
They love a bit of it.
They love it. So the assassin, so that he can backstab even better, he's got some concealment bombs. Drop it off, and now he's got the best hiding we've got in the game. It's like 30, 40 meters hiding. So quite good to run in, stab someone in the back, drop a bomb.
Get out of there.
Yeah, next bus out of there, right. He's got the Skaven Brew, which he can either drink himself or pass over to one of his allies. That will make them more offensive, more damage dealy, but reduce some of the armor. They just become really reckless when they drink that. Stab even harder. I mean, you've got the concealment bomb, so who cares?
Exactly.
Yeah, he'll stalk around. He'll have some assassin skills. Yeah, all around. He doesn't. So if you compare him to the Dark Elf Assassin, for example, the Dark Elf Assassin wouldn't mind using his hand bow every now and then. The Skaven Assassin, you'll have to get a bit closer to do his business.
Right.
But then you'll probably have a handful of them if you want to, because Skaven like to come in larger numbers.
That they do. That is a Skaven thing, isn't it?
We've got the Warlock Engineer.
Yep.
Has he been announced yet? I think people figured out somehow.
We're announcing it right now.
We're announcing it right now.
That's what this is.
Brand new news, unless you've read the forums or Reddit or Facebook. If you've been hiding in a hole like a Skaven in the last couple of days, you will have not heard about it.
But now you have.
Yeah, he illustrates perfectly the mix of magic and engineering ingenuity the Skaven have. So he's got this halberd, and on the tip of the halberd is a little doom rocket. So it's a one-shot nuclear bomb, if you like.
Cool.
Which comes in handy.
So it's an area of effect situation.
It's a missile.
Right.
That has a large area of effect, yes. He's only got one of them, but even if he runs out of those, he's still got this heavy halberd. He's an armor-piercing unit, and he's got spells. So,
nice. Yeah,
he's beyond that. He also amplifies explosive stuff around him, which is interesting for the Skaven, as we'll see later on. But it's a supporter lord, but he can hold his own, and he's got spells. A lot of versatility in one character there.
Awesome.
If you want to focus on spells only, you'll go with a Plague Priest. And the Plague Priest is wielding a plague sensor, which is something we're also going to talk about more later on.
Kind of like an incense burner, but I imagine for plagues in this scenario.
It's a armor-piercing weapon, 200 weapon. So you don't have many casters with armor-piercing in our game. This is one of them. We've also added a little treat to everyone who likes plague sensors. We like the idea that this warpstone vial contagion inside, if it hits you, it probably smashes you or it burns you. But if it doesn't, it probably scares you a lot, right? I'd be terrified to breathe in those incenses. So it hurts hearts and minds in the same way. So it will actually reduce the leadership of everything that it hits.
What?
So Skaven themselves have lower leadership, but as you'll see later on in this, they also have some means to lower the leadership of their enemies too.
That's pretty brutal.
For a caster especially.
Yeah. Wow.
And then we can put him on a plague furnace.
Nice.
It's if you imagine this model of a screaming bell, because it's quite close to that, but instead of
in scale.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, the same scale, but
yeah.
instead of the bell, it's got a plague
furnace full of plagues.
Yeah. Just your average plague furnace, really.
Yeah, standard.
And it goes back and forth and spreads all of this horribleness and aura of damage, pestilential casting thing. Again, it can backfire if you're not careful, but why would you be careful playing Skaven? If you're a careful person, you're probably not going to listen to this anyway.
No, you're living life.
No, you're just going to hide somewhere. Yeah.
So we're going on to our kind of...
our lords.
That is. So just to recap, we had Queek Headtaker, Lord Skrulk. We have Grey Seer and Warlord for our generic lords. We have Assassin, Warlock Engineer, and Plague Priest for our hero characters.
Has he moved again?
He's not right, you know.
I don't know how he keeps looking at me in a weird way.
Grace, are you doing this? I think she's doing this. Anyway.
Can I?
I think you should move him.
I feel like a bit... Sorry, please continue.
I don't think he likes you, this one's saying. Don't be mean. God. Right, melee infantry. So, we got first is Skaven slaves. Anything interesting about those? Are they standard, kind of cheap?
They're obviously cheap. They're slaves. There are many of them.
Yep.
Skaven multiply very quickly. So this is the highest number we've given any unit so far in Total War that you can hire endlessly.
Right.
So if you have if you have an army full of Skaven slaves, yeah, pretty much it's the entire map is just a little moving brown. If you zoom out, you'll just see little moving brown pieces everywhere. It's like a flood of Skaven coming your way.
Ew.
Don't know who would do that though.
No.
Skaven slaves by themselves, not that awesome.
No.
They're not used by themselves anyway. Every other unit we're going to talk about later on probably like works well with Skaven slaves though.
Yeah.
So even
bear them in mind.
Yeah, you could hire them for like strategic reasons as an army of just Skaven slaves. There's many good reasons on a campaign map to do that. In battle, you could do it as a reinforcement army, but probably not by themselves.
Yeah.
And they come in the taste Skaven slaves, Skaven slave spears,
Skaven slave slingers.
Thank you that you said that one. Yeah, so Skaven slave slingers is an interesting thing to have that much firepower because there's still a lot of them in a unit. You get 4 of them for the price, for example, of a single crossbow man.
Right.
And yeah, he's better trained. He's better in pretty much every regard. But there's 4 stones flying at your head every time you lose in a bolt.
Alistair's top tip. You know,
just
think it through.
Just saying, they're bad, but they're not bad.
Not that bad.
Sense.
Value for money, I guess.
One thing, yeah. So Skaven slaves, obviously, they'll have low morale.
Yeah.
The Skaven slave spears are interesting because you really want them to act as a meat shield. You want to place them somewhere. You want people to run into it and for you to buy time. Basically, that's what you want the meat shield for. Or you want them to eat arrows. The problem is that if you try to use them defensively, and someone, for example, has fear effects, or you reduce their morale a little bit, they will give up their position quicker than you can say snap election.
Wow.
That's the problem with Skaven slaves.
Yep.
To mitigate that a little bit, the Skaven have army abilities. The Skaven slaves, as you mentioned earlier, have strength in numbers, and that means they work better as long as there are many of them in a unit. Similar to the High Elves, so as long as they're nice and strong as a unit, they'll perform better. Imagine a swarm, and you have to hit at a single guy in a swarm. That's harder than just hitting a single unit without a swarm. How would you call that? Single entity unit?
Yeah.
The thing with the Skaven is then they feel more comfortable. They get a leadership bonus if the unit has still plenty of men, full of health, but they move slower. So at full health, a Skaven horde moves slower than each individual could. Now, as they lose health, they'll get faster, and then the second ability at some point will kick in, which is called Scurry Away, which means when they waver, they get even faster. They don't want to hang around a lot. They don't mind routing either. So for the first time in Total War, we've probably created a faction specifically to be good at routing.
Wow.
So you send them in, they'll route, they'll be really quick when they get out, so more of them will survive for a better day.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or not. Who cares? This game is slaves.
Exactly, there's so many of them.
Not that you'd care, but if you wanted to care, like if you want to roleplay it a bit, you could use them again.
This guy's liking you less and less all the time.
Yeah, he's looking at me though, isn't he? Can you turn him around? It's a bit irritating. I'm starting to feel a bit itchy around your new friends here.
I'm quite itchy as well.
I think we might have to clean up this place after this.
Hoover, I think. Right, so we've done Skaven slaves, Skaven slave spears, Skaven slave slingers. So next we have clan rats with shields, clan rats with spears, clan rats with spears and shields.
Yeah, so the shield variant is of course something you don't always want to bring. For a unit that's a meat shield and cheap, you're only going to bring shields when the enemy has missiles.
Yeah.
But that said, this unit is aiming at to be roughly as strong as an Empire swordsman, because they are weaker individually, but just more of them again. As there are just plenty of them, and that's it helps this feeling that there's a horde coming at you, and they'll survive. They'll be quite a bit stronger than Skaven slaves,
which is a good one. So moving on from the clan rats, we've got 2 variants of storm vermin. We've got storm vermin with halberds and storm vermin with sword and shields. We've
briefly mentioned them earlier. I think the only heavily armoured mainline infantry, which also makes them the best mainline infantry the Skaven can muster. Weirdly expensive for Skaven units, weirdly good at good leadership for Skaven units. So the Skaven do have their elite units. It's not like all of them are slaves.
No.
They come at a price, of course. And even then, though, they are a very large unit. So just the number of storm vermin in a unit would be higher than, let's say, the number of great swords in a Empire elite infantry unit. And that helps them a lot. It's just going to be a wave of them coming at you.
Just endless rats for days.
Halberds, we know what halberds are good for.
Yep.
Yeah. Might be interesting to know that they're actually as tall, because if I see the models, I always think of them as small rats.
Yeah, sure.
And they're less scary if you think of them. Like a single rat is not scary, it's cute. Right? 5 rats, it's okay, there's probably some...
This guy saying it's not somewhere. Cute, we get it.
Yeah, hundreds of rats, that's where it gets scary. But it's also scary if there's hundreds of rats and they're as tall as a human. The storm vermin then are the tallest regular rats, Skaven, sorry. The model probably stands as tall as a human. Well, that's because they.
But their teeth are massive.
They've got this like game designer pose where they just hang a bit
I don't
down.
know. I sit like this as well.
Oh my god!
It's him.
We're cursed. So if they would stand tall, they'd be bigger than a human. They've got a massive halberd if you come with the halberd variant. They've got a sword and shield if you pick the even more elite variant. That is something mentioned in earlier Skaven books. So it's we've been digging around a bit to get more of these. Like elite Skaven units on the field, because they're just really, really cool, and that's something new for the roster.
Love them.
Yeah.
So moving on from them, we're still on melee infantry here, although we don't have much left. So we've got Plague Monks and Plague Monk Censar Bearers. That is the end of our melee infantry.
Yeah, so far we've been talking about melee infantry that is a meat shield, or buys you time, or just stops the enemy, because they're quite defensive, all of these. The Plague Monks are not. The Plague Monks don't wear armor. They don't really feel pain either, though, because they've been raised in pain. They're all this illness around them.
Yeah, they're pretty ill.
Yeah.
At all times.
They've got the sickness. They are the offensive infantry, choice number 1 of the Skaven.
Yep.
They're frenzied on top of that. The Plague Monks themselves have 2 swords, which we interpret as bonus versus infantry. For a Skaven army, the worst thing that can really happen to you is that you're out-Skavened, you're out-chaffed. You don't want to be surrounded by an enemy as a Skaven, right? You always want to be the one with more guys than the enemy. So if the enemy comes at you with a lot of people, you really want your Plague Monks there to even the odds, or turn them in your favor, really. That's what your Plague Monks are there for. They've got also good leadership, because they're fanatics.
Which is kind of rare.
It's
right.
You could have a whole army of the plague side of Skaven, and play them quite differently to, let's say, a Skaven slave heavy army.
Yeah.
Well, you pay a price for it. Sure, they're a bit on the expensive side. The Plague Monk Censer Bearers then are still frenzied. They've got the Censer Bearer, which is armor piercing and lowers melee defense. Lowers leadership. Hearts and minds, crushing hearts and minds. That's what they're there for.
That is dark, you know.
Yeah, it's the weird. Okay, the mean thing here is the different tools the Skaven have to be mean. They add up nicely. So use some Plague Monk Censer Bearers to lower leadership.
Yep.
Combine that with some Rat Ogres who cause fear.
Yep.
Combine that with some of the later units we're going to talk about here, and suddenly you've got 3-4 leadership effects on the same target. It's going to bugger off.
Yeah.
Doesn't like the state it's in. It's going to say goodbye. And it can't even route away from you because you're probably faster. Did we mention they're pretty fast?
Yeah.
They're pretty fast.
How much faster would you say?
I'd say a good 8 faster than heavy infantry. There you go.
Wow.
And that's and that's with them moving as a horde. And they just get
fast. As
a horde, and they just get faster once they lose people, lose a bit of the bravura, and start running for it.
Yeah, not an easy foe to play against, as I'm sure you're kind of learning from this.
And we've not even started with the fast Skaven.
No.
We're talking about the slow Skaven here.
Yeah.
They will be around your feet. You can't... just the thought of it is a bit...
Don't! Okay, so we're moving on to missile infantry. So we have night runners and night runners with slings.
We've got a whole series of runners. These are, as I've mentioned, the fastest Skaven. They're my favourite by far.
As the name would suggest.
They start with the night runners, armed with throwing stars and swords.
Just the standard night sling.
The basic night runner has throwing stars. So it's a vanguardy fast unit that can throw a throwing star regardless of what it's doing. So it might be running backwards, forwards, left, right. It can always throw these. So what you want to do is place them in the advance, somewhere forward, vanguarding. The battle will start. People will say, "Oh, I'm going to have that unit. Look at that standing around there." We'll start chasing them. They'll run away while they're skirmishing. They're throwing their little stars. Every star counts. 5 stars, you're out.
Wow.
It's awesome.
No penalties for kind of moving and firing? Just endless.
They can dodge. They're fewer in number than a clan rat unit, but roughly as good in melee. And they can dodge because they're just so nimble. They just dodge.
Sneaky. And then what we've got
the
our...
slings.
Yep. I mean, the difference there being the slings, I'm assuming.
So you can't use a sling while you're running,
no.
Unfortunately. But it fires in a nice high arc. So if you've got your line of Skaven slaves to stop the enemy, put your slings in the back. Slings will go in a nice high arc.
Alistair's top tips.
Use them over a siege wall, like when you're besieging
good idea.
Being besieged. Shoot over that.
Good show.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff you can do with a high arc.
So there is. Moving on to the next runners, we've got, I believe, four variants of these. We've got gutter runners with poison, gutter runner slingers, and gutter runner slingers, brackets, poison.
Yeah, so having a variant with and without poison here is a big deal. The gutter runners are better night runners, so they've got stalk and the throwing star.
Right.
Even better at throwing. The throwing star is even better in melee. Quite pricey for a Skaven unit. But what you get for that price is just someone who, apart from, let's say, cavalry upwards, would just always skirmish away and really, really hurt the enemy. Very annoying and hidden at that. Now, you can imagine if he's got poison, each poison throwing star will slow down the target. So once you give them poison, they can even run away from...
Is it slow and damage over time?
Right. Yeah, no, so it will slow, for example, cavalry down to their own speed.
Right.
So cavalry suddenly struggles catching up with them. So now they can even vanguard and skirmish from cavalry. And on top of these abilities, they've also got something called a snare net, which means if you get too close to them, they'll snare net you, and you get even slower. So I've tried it
like
with...
the net of Ammontok kind of, but that stops you completely,
yeah,
right?
It won't stop you completely,
right,
but it will annoy you, and it will get into your legs, and that kind of thing. We all know. We know the snare nets, right, that you use in your everyday life.
Yeah.
So I've tried it with something like a Glade Rider or a Demigryph. They can't catch up. In a poisoned state, poison snare-netted Demigryphs can't catch up with a Gutter Runner. So if you give the Gutter Runners enough space to just fall backwards, the Demigryphs will hunt them and die trying.
Oh,
which is awesome.
Die trying?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so much fun. And because they're slowed down, there's a nice synergy here between the Gutter Runner slingers, who can now shoot their slings at a slowed down target.
Right.
And if the Demigryph wants to attack the Gutter Runner slingers, they just go into hiding.
Snaky.
So there are a lot of great synergies with these units, and they work well with anything else that this army has, especially the slowing down control element that it gives you, because you want to be encircling the enemy as a Skaven, or you want to be moving your hero and your leadership buff areas around where they're needed. For all of that, buying some time is good. And for many, many more reasons you need time. We're going to come to that after the runners. So
I lied before. I said we were done with melee infantry. We're not, because there's one more here, which is death runners.
Yeah, not much known about the death runners outside of the Total War studios.
Tell us.
So I really like the commando type Skaven, like the gutter runners, like the night runners. They just add so much to gameplay and fun. We spoke to Games Workshop about this. I also like the Weeping Blade, which is a special magical weapon.
Cool.
If it stabs you, it kind of eats your armor up.
What?
Some magical toxic blades. So we've got some of the armor sundering weapons already in the game, but this one is quite special. It will halve the armor of everything it hits for a lengthy
Can you imagine
time.
how upset the High Elves would be?
High Elves, or like a Stegodon, or a Steam Tank, or an Arachnarok. Lots of juicy targets a Death Runner could have. So what you want a Death Runner to be...
Steam Tanks.
You want them to be fast. You want them to be stealthy. They tick those boxes. You want them to have a concealment bomb like the Assassin. So he's got it. This is pretty much a Assassin as a unit with some gadgets that can shred armor. It can jump back and forth between different units of the enemy, just always making their armor go,
brutal.
While all your slings, which are weak against armor, hitting them, or the little rocks hitting them, or the Skaven slaves who have no chance against armor, suddenly poking for damage. A lot of different units that normally aren't that good against elite units suddenly become useful. It's a force multiplier. It's a mean one. It can hide.
This is all pretty mean, you know.
They look pretty cute, yeah.
They are a little bit. Right. So we've got next up. We've got a warp fire thrower.
Mm-hmm. So we know the Drake gun flamethrowers that we have in
the Iron Drakes.
The Iron Drakes have a Drake gun. That's a dwarven unit. Shoots normal fire.
Yep.
This is the Skaven variant of it. It needs 2 Skaven to operate. One to hold the generator, whatever you want to call it, the refinery. One to hold the muzzle. And it will spew warp fire, which is green, which is, as we've interpreted warp fire in our game, it will lower leadership.
Yep.
So it's one of these units, combine it with the other leadership dropping units for that effect.
Kind of fire damage on top of this slowing of the leadership?
It's magical damage. Is it fire damage? Don't quote me on that right now. I think it's fire, magical damage that lowers leadership.
Cool. I was just wondering whether it was multiple things, but yeah.
Well, it's also explosive, which is what you want against infantry.
Wow.
It's not armor piercing though.
Well.
And that's why you need the next. The unit after the next.
Which is Poisoned Wind Globadiers.
That's the next. So you start with the warp fire to really destroy infantry.
Right.
You then use the Poisoned Wind Globadiers to really destroy large units. So we interpret them as they throw a little globe filled with like vile toxins. Yeah. And if they burst on your skin, the largest skin surface you have, the more it will hit and hurt you. So that a larger target would receive more damage from them. Now these are a tiny unit compared to Skaven slaves, just a handful of elite Poison Wind Globadiers. They wear gas masks and heavier armor because they don't want to blow up themselves from this. So it's quite risky to field them, because it's quite like a spell would take them out, or just a quick cavalry charge might take them out. If it doesn't take them out, though, the damage it does is horrendous. And because
so you're saying the larger the target, the more effective, especially if it's not armored, more skin related.
No, armored is fine because this is armor piercing stuff. So
you big
the
lizard men
are a good example for a nice target. Reichsguard come charging at you. You move your Poison Wind Globadiers behind your Skaven slaves.
Yep.
Because no one cares about Skaven slaves really.
Except
your Poison Wind Globadiers throw in a nice arc above the heads, if you're lucky, of the Skaven slaves. They're not too accurate, so expect a couple of your slaves to be hit in the face by one of these globes. But it's fine,
because you've got loads.
It's okay. Yeah, they don't take it personal either. And then the Reichsguard will just evaporate.
Whoa.
Yeah, if you don't take them out. Of course, they're weak against range. Their range is a bit crap, but the firepower we're aiming for here is hopefully making up for all the downsides of a small unit like that.
So next from them we have Death Globe Bombardiers. So
again, hinted at in the rear section of the army book are all these cool gadgets that the Skaven have. One of these gadgets is the Death Globe. It's a more explosive version of your warp. What's the Poison Wind Globadier warp dust vial contagion. Okay. So it lingers in the air longer when it does explode. So it covers a nice large area. It's again armor piercing. So if you've got if you think of the Poison Wing Globadiers as the anti-Stegodon unit, the Death Globe Bombardiers would be your anti-Chosen unit. Ooh. So again, put your Skaven slaves in the first row, these on the second row. Enjoy the mayhem.
Yeah, it's chaos. Chaos.
Beautiful destruction.
So we're getting to the big guys now. We spoke about them before, but we got rat ogres.
Yeah.
They are the hench. They are large.
Oh yeah, we have some there. Yeah. So the rat ogres are they just show like the monstrous side off of the.
Are they slower?
No, they're faster than a troll. Slower than what?
I mean, generally speaking, so you got the rat horde. They're slower, but are them as individuals? Are they kind of
faster? So they don't have this scurry away deal where they get faster when the morale is lower. Actually, they might, but they don't have. Do they have the strength in numbers? I'm not quite sure.
We'll get back to you.
Yeah, their speed will be higher than that of a troll.
Right.
Slower than that of a night runner who's running away from something.
Okay, cool.
The Skaven noticeably lack cavalry. So we kind of moved them gently, the rat ogres, we moved them gently to a shock cav role where they've got a really nice charge bonus and you can send them in to do some serious damage, but then you do have to move them out, which is what we like to do with monstrous infantry in general, and we have reworked them for Warhammer 2. So the monstrous infantry now, it's really good as in combination with normal infantry because they can hide in a unit. We've been doing that since Warhammer 1. But now they're much stronger also by themselves. They're a bit more versatile. They're not so shoehorned. So they're now they're really strong because they're not normal infantry.
Right.
Like cavalry would be really good at fighting normal infantry. A lot of the anti-infantry guys are just not good against monstrous infantry because they're larger.
Yeah.
So rat ogres have all of those benefits, being a bit on the fast side, decent charge, bit squishy, not too much.
Yeah.
They'll die every now and then. Replace them. What? Why not?
Do it.
Yeah.
So we're getting on to, we've got 4 left. 4 left of this roster reveal. We've got Plague Claw Catapult.
That's true. It's a catapult that fires snot of some sort.
Gunk. Pus.
It's like a liquid.
It's
liquid
just
missile.
grossness.
Grossness. Liquefied grossness. It's either poisonous or toxic.
Both.
Your choice.
Everything.
It makes you unhappy to be hit by it, basically. So another one of these leadership reducing units that you can combine with some of the others. In this case, I think it's well combined with the warp fire thrower, for example. It will not be super accurate, but it fires a long distance, as we know from our other catapults in the game. It's perfect against infantry in the early stages of gameplay.
Cool. So moving on, we've got Warp Lightning Cannon. Love this one.
It's an anti-large sniper weapon.
It's just fun. Yeah. It looks great. Me and Michael actually did a little bit of painting of one.
Okay.
Together. It's his.
Did you go offbeat with your colour choices?
No, I went quite. So I love a bit of dry brushing, so I went really vibrant neon, but it looked a little bit marble, which is quite cool. But yeah, I really liked it. It's the only Skaven thing I've ever painted.
What I really want on these models is to put a little light, like in the front tip or so.
I've seen some amazing models where they've got that.
If you've got the time, you can do a lot.
I'll get it done for you.
Maybe even a little taser.
Yes.
They're not that much anymore.
No.
You can get tasers on eBay now.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, so the Warp Lightning Cannon, nice little Warp Lightning bolt, travels a long distance, fairly accurate, good against large.
Leadership?
That's what you want.
Does it mess you up?
No, I don't think. I think this burns you too quickly as that you can be worried about being demoralized by it.
Straight death? Fair enough.
In most cases, yeah. Probably not a giant one hit, of course, but compared to other cannons, it's a cute little machine.
Yeah. We also have the Doom Wheel, which it's just awesome.
It's just your average Doom Wheel, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like it's got everything you'd expect from a Doom Wheel, really.
It's a wheel of doom.
It's got the rats that power it. It's got the guy in the back who does this on the engine. It's got the guy in the front who can he uses a little stereo. What do you call it? Periscope.
Yeah.
Periscope to look. Yeah, it's got those. It's got those little warp lightning cannon.
Right at the front.
Rods at the front and the side.
Kind of like a smaller taser version.
Three missile attacks is very important. So for example, if you've got the time to micro it, you can drive like a nice little
yes, I'm going to do that.
Zigzag around the enemies and just use all of those cannons go off erratically, or just smash into stuff. It's like a chariot on steroids.
I really like it. And as we mentioned, we are at Gamescom next week, so you can, if you want to come and visit the Total War team, you can come and sit in one of these and take a picture because it'll be really fun. Do it.
Yeah, it's an awesome model. You really want to take it home. You want to put a little engine in it and drive it to work, really. It's awesome.
Yes, I would.
Finally.
Yes, so we have two things left. We mentioned the Doom Wheel. We finally have the Hell Pit Abomination.
I think that is this model here.
It's not.
I'm not an expert on anything.
We only found out this one.
Sorry, this one. Okay.
Yeah, look at it.
I keep mixing them up. So the Hell Pit Abomination.
How can this be animated? You know.
So first of all, over the course of the last 6 months, whenever I went to the animators and looked at what they're working on, someone was working on
crying.
the Hell Pit Abomination. No, I think they enjoyed it a lot.
Good.
I think probably up there in my favorite units when it comes to seeing it in motion, and it's just gross. The way it walks is gross. Everything about it is gross. If you look at the detail of this model, there's little rat heads coming out of the upper back neck area of this model, and they look around inquisitively
as well. Just
and that's
chilling.
Just like one of these details. I don't think anyone has even counted how many arms this guy has.
No, and I'm fantastically impressed with.
It's got one wheel.
One wheel.
Measure. It's got this.
Oh, I see it.
Big wheel on the back.
Yeah.
It's got his bum is resting on a big wheel.
It needs.
I don't know why, but
just
it works. It just works. It's got the monster side of Skaven. It's got the magic side of Skaven. It's got the warpstone side of Skaven. It's got the engineering side of Skaven. This is like everything Skaven put into one unit.
Several rats with rats.
Yeah.
And rats and rats. It's
gross.
But we have a fantastically talented development team, you know, who have brought these miniatures to life here with Total War Warhammer 2. And I will go through this roster one more time just so we tick them all off.
It?
Yeah, no,
I think it bears talking about. This is because not everyone knows what a Hell Pit Abomination is just by saying the word.
So it has a stat that I like that I wanted to talk to you about. Too horrible to die?
It is too horrible to die.
What?
Well, look at it. So the idea, I guess, is that there are like rats inside operating it to some degree.
Oh.
Maybe they've got like little sticks and moving around. I've not looked inside one. I don't know how it works.
You only found out the other day.
Yeah. It's just been one of these top secret things. But if you squish it hard enough, it might die, right? So if you pummel it hard enough, it might die. If it does die,
then what?
There'll be a little unit of Skaven slaves coming out of it.
Gross!
And then you can play with that.
Good. I'm glad. I've been wondering about that all day.
But you're not going to. You're not going to see it because it won't die.
No.
Because
look at it.
It's too horrible to die. It's got regen, and it's got a rebirth mechanic.
Yeah.
When hit points get really, really low, it might just restore its health, and it's got plenty of health. Gary would say it's a tough cookie. It doesn't go down easily. You'll need maybe a Krotgar, a Carnosaur.
I'm scared if Gary said that as well. You know.
Yeah, I wish I had a Scottish accent to
pull
off a Gary.
If I could convince him to do one that wasn't
maybe he can
super
maybe
offensive.
He hears this and he's jumping down now, coming down. Is that him? No, he's not coming. It's a tough cookie. It's a hard to kill.
But he's here in our hearts, you know.
He's always with us.
Always.
That's the Hell Pit. Enjoy.
It's gross. So one more time from top to bottom. We have Queek Headtaker. We have Lord Skrulk. We have Grey Seer and Warlord as generic lords. We have Assassin, Warlock Engineer, and Plague Priest as heroes. We have Skaven Slave, Skaven Slave Spears, Skaven Slave Slingers. Wow. Clan Rats with shields, Clan Rats with spears, Clan Rats with spears and shields. We have Storm Vermin with halberds, Storm Vermin with swords and shields, Plague Monk Censer Bearers, Night Runners with slings, Gutter Runners with poison, Gutter Runner Slingers with poison, Death Runners, Warp Fire Thrower, Poison Wind, Globadiers, Death Globe Bombardiers, Rat Ogres, Plague Claw Catapult, Warp Lightning Cannon, Doom Wheel, and Hell Pit Abomination. That has been our Skaven roster reveal.
Sounds about right.
And it's been pretty fun. As we mentioned, we have Gamescom next week. Come see us. You can pre-order Total War Warhammer 2 now. And these will probably be the end of us. So you may never see me again on the live stream. Ever. Hopefully, but probably not. It's been lovely to see you both.
Bye.
Goodbye all.
Bye-bye.